Hello, my awesome small group leaders. Welcome to February. This month we are talking about respect. And respect we are defining as showing others that they are important by what you say and do. So basically showing them that they matter and that they're important by the actions that we produce. And so all of this, we're going to go through a road rules theme to make this happen. Now, road rules, basically when we're driving, right? When anyone's driving, you have to respect the rules of the road. And so that's what we're showing for these children today as kind of a relational something that they understand and see every day that they can relate to the point that we're talking about. If we don't respect the rules of the road, then chaos happens and everyone gets in a wreck all the time, right? But instead, if we respect the rules of the road, like the speed limits and the stop signs and the yield signs, all of that, then we all know how to drive better. And if we obey those rules, then it is much easier for us to all get along and drive and, not hurt each other in the process. And so this would be a really fun one as we dive into it. The monthly memory verse is do unto others as you want them to do unto you, from Luke 6:31. And so that'll be a really good one as we go into Jesus and some examples that he set for us in showing respect to other people, right? And so this is going to be really good. Okay, so this first activity, also this week we won't have any junior leaders, or at least most of them will be gone. They're all at winter camp, and so we're going to be really overstacking people hopefully this week and trying to get more people in. So you might see some adults that you don't really recognize, but they're here to help because we don't have those junior leaders this week. And so anyway, let's dive right in. This first activity, what you're doing is you're basically just talking about the definition of respect. And so ask them, what do you think respect is? How do you show respect to others? All of that kind of stuff. Just getting them in the mindset of doing that. And they can doodle on some pieces of paper while they do that. Doodling about how to respect, how to show respect for others. We have a big butcher piece of butcher paper that you can work on with that. But different ways that they can show respect to other people is what you're looking at for there. Then you have another opening activity, and basically you have a bingo card thing. And with this bingo card, each child will get one of these. And what you're trying to do is, if you have less than 12 children in your group, which hopefully you will, then you should be able to combine groups. And so like 2nd and 3rd grade boys, y'all can do all of this together. 4th and 5th, y'all can do all this together, kind of thing. But basically, what they're trying to do is figure out who fits in one of these categories. And so who has blue eyes, right? And so one of the child, they find someone else in the group that has blue eyes. They're like, hey, can you sign your name on this spot for me or whatever? And so hopefully they'll only be allowed to fill in one spot per, but the goal is to get, all of them filled in if you want to do that, or just like 4 in a row kind of thing to see if they can fill it in. You can do both. You can do however you want to do that, right? So getting them to do that whole bingo card. But basically, we're going to go to large group and talk about someone who included everyone, and even those who seemed different or were very overlooked. And as we do that, we're talking about how Jesus called his disciples. So he called people that were not what you would consider religious teachers or leaders or people that should be teaching in that setting. And so as Jesus, who became a rabbi and was calling these people, usually they would call people who are already very involved in the temple and all this stuff, but instead he called fishermen, right? And he called tax collectors and people like that. And so he called people who seemed left out or not normal or not what you would think people, someone that Jesus would call. And so it's about being left out and how we don't want to leave people out. And so Jesus called those people, calling those disciples. And then I want you to try to dive straight into the discussion questions, okay? This is very important. I want to try to really transition into doing these discussions, diving in deeply and connecting with understanding how we can, what all of this means, right? So right after the Bible story, go through those discussion questions. We have some really good ones on there. It's your first page on there, okay? But even the first one, why do you think we often play favorites based on how someone looks or acts, right? Think about that. Why do we have favorite people, or we have our best friends and we focus on them way more than we focus on the new kid on the block, right? And so I'm trying to get them in the mindset of including everyone around them is the goal there. And then these other activities are for if they are just being hyper energetic and rambunctious and crazy, then we try to do these other activities to get all that energy out in a healthy way, right? They are still children, remember. And so as they're children, they have all this energy and stuff. We want to channel it in a healthy way. And so if they are working on the discussions, keep doing the discussions. You do not have to do the activities if you don't want to, and if they're really engaged in it, please. But if they need to let some of that energy out, feel free. Okay, that's what these activities are for. So this you have a questions and answer activity page, and basically what we're doing with this is you'll have your group into 2 teams, and each team will line up on one side of the room. Then you'll have these answer cards on the opposite side, kind of taped individually on like a wall or something over there. Okay, what they're doing is you're going to ask them one of the questions from the Bible story. So like, who helped Peter with the nets? And that would be James and John. That's the correct answer, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to run over and pick whichever one they think is the correct answer and bring it back. If they get it correct, they get to keep the card. If not, they have to go put it back on the end of the thing. So basically the team with the most cards at the end, or the most correct answers, they win out of the 2 teams. Okay, so that's the goal of doing that there, but it's a review that they can work on with that as well. Okay. And then going through, Jesus was showing us an example on how we treat others matters to God, right? Now, this next activity is more of even a broader one that doesn't go as much along with the story, but more on application. And so with this, we're talking about you'll have like a road, and basically with this road, it's like a 2-lane road that you're going to tape on the ground. Okay. And so with this 2-lane road that you tape on the ground, also be sure to pull up the tape when you're done with it for second service. That would be really awesome, so that, I can leave and not be peeling up tape all night. Anyway, but if you would help me out with that, would be great. Create a 2-lane road, and basically with this 2-lane road, you're having them do different choices, okay? And the big thing is like, okay, if you're like on the, so have them first stand in the middle of the road, which would be like the dotted line or whatever, but it can just be 3 lines, whatever. Have them first stand in the middle. And then what you're going to do is like, okay, left side, if you would prefer pizza, go on the left side. If you'd prefer spaghetti, go on the right side, right? If you'd prefer broccoli, go on the left side. If you could prefer spinach, go on the right side. So what they're doing is they're hopping from one side to the other, depending on what they would rather have. And the thing with all of this is sometimes, hopefully maybe, sometimes you will have one child that is like the sole person of one side, okay? And with that, you're gonna wanna ask that child like, hey, if you were one of those kids that was basically alone on the one side, how did that make you feel and why? And so kind of feeling, some of the extroverts would be like, well, I felt fine. Like it didn't bother me to be left out. Some of the introverts would be like, well, yeah, it kind of made me feel awkward. I almost jumped to the other side. That's what you're going for, is trying to help them feel included, even though they were like standing out and looking a little bit different than the other children. And you can even ask some of them like, hey, did you guys hop to the other side if you noticed that everyone was on the other side instead of going to the answer that you really thought? Like, kind of getting them thinking about that kind of thing as, hey, we're all inclusive here. Like God loves everyone. And so, we should be inclusive and loving our enemies and all of that, because we know that God called these people that were oddballs, right? And so God loves us anyway is what we're going for there. Now, this verse to take with you activity, the next one, basically, you're going to have the golden rule, okay, is what the memory verse is. So ask them why they think it's called the golden rule in the first place, right? If they've ever heard it called the golden rule, why is it called that? And then go ahead and give them different sentences to finish how they would answer these things. And so the sentence starter would be like, this verse reminds me, after you go through the verse and everything, this verse reminds me to, and then call on someone to finish that, right? Or like, living out this verse shows respect because, and then go ahead and let someone else answer. And so go through that and have each child answer one of those, and they can even doodle on that piece of paper again, that big butcher paper, or you can have them use different pieces of papers for that activity. Then you'll want to pray and dismiss together. And with this prayer, you're going to go ahead and huddle up around that big piece of butcher paper, or like lay it on the table, whatever that may be, and think about different ways that they can show respect to others this week, okay? Even if it's like someone that they don't like and stuff like that, they can be showing respect to them. So think about different ways that they can do that and pray that God would help them do that in the process. And that's it for this week, everyone. Thank you guys so much for all that you guys do. Y'all are amazing, and we'll see you guys in a bit.